Karate Kobudo, heritage of Okinawa to the world. Okinawa is the capital island of the Ryukyu archipelago located south of the major island which formed Japan. Between the 15th and the 16th centuries, in Okinawa it started to emerge a native martial art initially known as Ti. This gradually becomes enriched with the contribution of different schools from all over Asia, especially from China. By the year 1600, the Ryukyu are invaded by the Japanese clan of Hatsuma, which banned the use of any weapons by people. In that way, the Ti started to take a more nationalistic and necessary sense. Practiced in principle and in total secrecy by the Okinawan noble class, it's later adopted by the other social classes. Since then, its popularity grows in the same way as the reputation of unique masters who contributed with their expertise to the formation of some styles that still exist today. Since 1936, this popular martial art started to be called karate. The Shorin Ryu, which is the literal translation of Shaolin from Japanese, is the first style that exists and which improved its techniques, characterized by their speed, versatility and power. With the passage of time and the emergence of new experts and masters, new original schools started to be created. Kyudokan School, founded by Dai Sensei Yuchoku Higa, one of the few to hold the 10th dan, is the continuation of a long list of the most famous experts of ancestral Ti. Born February 14, 1910, and died on November 4, 1994, he was chosen to continue the legacy of the deepest Okinawan martial tradition. Main student of Master Chosen Chibana, he also received the teachings from Shiro Shiroma, Shinanshin Sato, and Seijai Miyahira. The leadership of the Kyudokan School in Okinawa currently falls on Master Minoru Higa, 10th dan, born on September 18, 1941, and rotating president of the current Okinawan Karate Federation. Jintatsu Higa, Dai Sensei's brother, born October 10, 1912, and died on September 27, 1983, was responsible for taking this traditional school out of the island. Also a student of grandmasters such as Hio Maeda and Yochin Nagamine, he decided in 1938 to settle in Argentina, making his first public performance of karate in 1940. Master Jinjatsu has on his children Tatsushi and Masato the continuation of the spreading and practice of the school at continental and global levels. Sensei Mazato Higa, 9th dan, is the current world head of the Shorin Ryu Kyudokan Federation, a representative for Europe of the Kobudo Ryu Konkai Federation of Okinawa. Born in Buenos Aires on March 28, 1945, he began to practice with his father at the age of 12. From that moment, his dedication and perseverance became a major part of his life. His continuous trips to Okinawa put him as a key pillar for the spreading of this absolutely traditional school. Having his home dojo of the island of Sicily, he is in constant movement in Europe and the world, promoting not only the Shorin Ryu Kyudokan, but basically the Okinawan spirit. Among his top assistants there is his son Diego, 5th dan, and heir of this long chain of practitioners and masters of the Higa family, the reason why Kyudokan can also be known as the Higa clan karate. Sensei Renato Graziosi, ranked 6th dan, is the representative for the Iberian Peninsula and from the island of Tenerife, consolidating as a deep promoter of the spirit and feeling of this school, which is as old as karate itself. Kion is the term that refers to all the technical elements which are continuously practiced in karate. First, to know the existing variants and combinations, and second, to polish and improve each of the basic techniques, such as tsuki, fist techniques, uke, defenses, geri, leg techniques, and dachi, stances and positions. The practice of Kion is essential if you want to master this exquisite art someday. We will start showing the dachi kata techniques, which are those relating to the positions. In the case of Kyudokan School, there is a particular link among them. We will show all the positions together, and then Renato will show the different positions one by one. We start by Heisoku Dachi. We separate our feet and we stand in Musubi Dachi position. We separate our feet even more and we stand in Eiko Dachi position. We keep separating our feet and we stand in Shigen Dachi position. We keep separating them and we move to Naihanchin Dachi position. We keep separating and we stand in Shiko Dachi position. We turn to the diagonal of the left side and we perform Hidari Zenkutsu Dachi. We go back to the starting position and turn to the right to stand in Migi Zenkutsu Dachi. We return to the Shiko Dachi position. We see it again. We start showing Heisoku Dachi position.
H. Musubi Dachi. Ni Heiko Dachi. San Shigen Dachi. Shi Naihanchin Dachi. Go Shiko Dachi. Ro Hidari Zenkutsu Dachi. E Shiko Dachi. Ni Migi Zenkutsu Dachi. E Shiko Dachi. Ni Naihanchin Dachi. Go Shigen Dachi. Roku Heiko Dachi. Roku Musubi Dachi. Shi Heisoku Dachi.
Now we will make 3 different positions and we will do it to prove that the basic position in Shigen Dachi position, which is a natural stance, and that is the reference point of all positions. So as I said, let's try to prove this principle from Hara position. For example, the Zenkutsu Dachi position, a very common position in schools of Shorin line, and it has the feature of putting more weight on the front leg, and it is considered to be the strongest position forward. Therefore, it is said that if someone has to push something heavy, even if he does not practice karate, he takes a position similar to Zenkutsu Dachi. It's harder to push being placed in positions such as Shigen Dachi or Shiko Dachi. Therefore, this forces us to bend the front part of our body, but without taking the rear part out. Now I will make deliberately the 2 basic mistakes that are made in this position. The first mistake is this, and it can be clearly observed that the hara is out of place. So in this position, the important thing is that even if there is this, there is also this. But we must prevent it from causing the second mistake, which is this, taking the hara out forward. So the ideal thing is the combination of forces, one force forward and the other one downward. With this approach, my hara will always be equal to the natural position. We prove this by repeating the mistakes. Obviously, if I'm like this, and I go back to the natural position, my hara is not correct. If I am like this, and I make the second mistake, my hara is not correct either. So I put a force forward and the other one downward. And when I go back to the natural position, my hara is perpendicular to the base. This can be corroborated with other positions, such as shikodachi. This will be a mistake. And this will be another mistake when performing the technique. So I have to stand like this, so that my hara is perpendicular to the base. Let's make therefore three basic positions, which are Sen Kutsudachi, Shikodachi, and Ukiashi. We start by Sen Kutsudachi. We'll see this technique making the mistake, to see the correction. Then I correct the position here and prevent him from taking his rear part out. I adjust in relation to his hara. I adjust the position. And then he will make the technique. Now let's perform the shikodachi position. We do it with the chokutsuki technique. As you can see, the hara is out of place. I place it, we cause the other mistake, the hara forward, place it, and we see how the other mistake will be. Taking the hara backward, and we see what we must do is confronting the forces, one forward and the other one backward. This way, his hara is completely symmetrical. Once the position is fixed, I adjust the whole body, then I correct the technique. Now we will do the Shuto Uke technique with the Ukiashi position. In this position, a part of the weight is supported on the back leg, but remember that in the first case, the weight was put mostly on the front leg. In the second case, the weight was distributed 50%. In this case, 70% of the weight is put on the back leg and 30% of the front, but the principle remains unchanged. This means that this will be the first mistake. Therefore, we should put his body in this way so that the hara falls perpendicularly. Another basic mistake is trying to take the weight back, helping with the torso. It can be clearly seen that this is a mistake. Then I put it properly again, so that this hara is always perpendicular to the base. So I correct the position of his body, and finally he performs the technique. To finish this, I will move facing the camera and we will see how this movement of bringing the legs together to advance will remain constant. And also in this static part, the hara is perpendicular to the base. Now I do it with shikodachi position, and the principle remains unchanged. I do it with a third position, and the principle remains unchanged too. This means that the hara is essential when correcting position. Kyudokan School has specific principles which are considered fundamental principles in what is called Kion, which is the basis of the practice of Karate-Do. These principles, which are sometimes particular, as I said, are harder to explain than to show. For example, the first principle, Mio Mamoru, is a survival instinct of the human being that karate has adapted to apply it to its techniques. I always say that if someone attacked me, I did not practice karate, what I will do will be not reopen him. But covering myself as much as possible, sometimes we even take our leg up to cover ourselves more. If, for example, one is distracted and he hears an explosion, what he will do is closing on himself. He will never open. This principle of closing is present in all our techniques. For example, if I perform the first basic defense, Ageuke, Yodan Ageuke. If I do the first part of the series, I don't do it in this way, to end here. What I will do is closing my elbows, closing my forearms, and closing my body, with that natural attitude of protection. So the first movement will be this. And then I will do the technical gesture like this. Therefore, I will do 1, 2. I will never leave uncovered these areas and I will never put my shoulders up. The tendency will be even with the breath, closing downward. Even if I am relaxed, not only when I am tense. If it were Uchi-uke, the first movement will not change at all. The first movement is the basic defense. This will be as the first movement. And then the technical movement. 1, and then the technical movement. If we look at this movement, it is the same we took here to make the first technique. But the attitude is always the same. Let's see the same in the third basic form, Soto-uke. The first movement will be this, and the second one will be. If we make the Gedan Barai, the principle does not change at all. The technique is different, but the principle remains unchanged. So my first movement will be 1. I close my elbows, I close my forearms, and I continue with the technical movements. If I do the basic technique Shuto-uke, also present in most schools of Shorin line, we see that this principle is also there. Instead of making a preparation of this type, I will have to do it according to the regulations of our school. I close my elbows as always, I close my forearms, and I close my body. Then comes the technical movement. This means that if I analyze the movements, whatever the technique, either Soto-uke, Gedan Barai or Shuto-uke, this trend is always present and is important for our school. Now Renato is going to perform some techniques applying this principle.
Uchi-uke Zenkutsu-dachi. Soto-uke Zenkutsu-dachi. Gedan Barai. yashi chudan shutouke. Gedan shutouke.
We continue to see the main principles. The second principle is the principle of yin and yang. This is not a principle of our school. It is an ancient Taoist principle that our school has adapted to make understand that in karate you need both speed and slowness, both tension and relax. This means that it is the harmony of contrasts. It is not an exclusive principle of karate. We see it in life itself. We see that there can be no night without day. There can be no evil without good. So in karate we cannot always be in explosiveness and not always in smoothness. Harmony between softness and explosiveness, harmony between slowness and speed is essential. For example, in what we call kime, ending a technique at its higher explosiveness. For example, if we perform the age-uke, the whole preparation stage, the closures will be performed in a relaxed way. Therefore, this part will be relaxed. It will be the yin, and the explosive part will be the yang. So the yin will be the relaxed part, yang will be the explosive part. If it is in the uchi-uke, yin will be the closing part. Yang will be the technical part. It is the same if it is soto-uke. Yin will be the closing part, yang will be the technical part. And it is the same if it is gedan-barai. Yin will be the relaxed part, yang will be the technical part. Now Renato is going to show some techniques applying this principle.
Aguke hayo. Uchuke. Sotouke. Gedan-barai. Shutouke chudan. Gedan shutouke.
The third principle we will explain is the Marumi principle. Marumi means circularity. Now I will do this a bit exaggerated so that it can be seen from the beginning. All our techniques have a certain circular gesture. It is not a complete circle, but a circular movement. If we make the technique we have already seen of age-uke as a basic form of Kion technique, if I make the technique this way, I will not apply the same Marumi principle. Now I'll do it applying the Marumi movement. I will do it with this gesture. Therefore, the movement will be like this, and not a linear movement. You see I'm doing it exaggeratedly. If I did it uchiuke, instead of making a direct movement, after the first movement, the action will be a bit exaggerated, like this. Therefore, there is always a synthesis of this circular movement. In the Sotouke, it is where you can see more easily that it is a circular movement. The technique is performed like this, in a circle. Therefore, it will be a mistake making the direct movement like this. There will always be the circular movement. The same happens with Gedan-Barai. Instead of doing it like this, we will do it like this thanks to Marumi. Therefore, the Marumi gives continuity to the movement, rather than stopping it here. And continuing with the second stage is as if everything were just one movement. Therefore, Mio Mamoru and Marumi complement each other. So I must close the body in a relaxed way. And with the movement, I have to get the final technique. Now, according to this, Renato is going to perform some techniques. Always with the same basic techniques, so that the application of the principles is more evident. Another main principle of the school is the kokyu. The kokyu is anything that relates to breathing. Normally, not only in karate, but in all martial arts, we breathe with the diaphragm and the abdominal area. The old masters of Okinawa used to say, "Breathe as if you had no lungs." Obviously, this is only a symbol. Without the lungs, we cannot breathe. But he meant that we must always breathe with the lower area. So if I had to explain how breathing is with a drawing, I would say that it cannot be top-down and bottom-up, but it must be horizontal from the outside in and from the inside out. Let's see this. If I stand like this, I shouldn't do up, down, up, down. I should do 1, I inflate, 2, I deflate, 1, I inflate, 2, I deflate. All karate techniques are designed on this type of abdominal and diaphragm breathing. Therefore, either in relax as in explosiveness, the air should always be kept in the lower area. It is also said that the air is the main food of the hara. This will be explained in another part, when speaking of another principle. And therefore it must always be in contact with hara itself. What matters is that the air is always concentrated in the area of the hara to cause the further development of ki. Moreover, in a situation of danger, the body tends to cover itself, and it also tends to close the abdominal area of the diaphragm. Therefore, if we try to hit someone, that person has the reflex of tightening the muscles in the abdominal area. Then, this happens more easily if the air is near, and it will be more difficult if the air were higher and had to go through a longer way. So, for both reasons, abdominal and diaphragm breathing is essential. Within these breathing techniques, there is one called Fukushiki Kokyu. This is an exercise which combines muscle tension and abdominal diaphragm breathing. This exercise is going to be performed by Renato. While he makes a technique, I'm going to lead this breathing. Gyakutsuki, first slowly, breathe in, breathe out, now with kime, increasing speed at the end. Let's go on with the principles of the school. Now we will see the Chakugan, which is a principle that is not often taken into account, but which is really very important in the practice of karate and any other martial art. Chakugan refers to the look. My father, who was my great master, was a fan of Chakugan. But in turn, he was influenced by another grandmaster he never met, the great Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest samurai in Japanese history. Miyamoto Musashi said that the first principle of Chakugan was knowing to look to the sides without moving the pupils. So for him, doing this meant death. But also moving just the pupils could mean death. Therefore, the Chakugan consists in focusing the look on the front, but having a wide visual spectrum sideways, without moving the neck of the pupils. The second principle is knowing to look as if it were close something which is in fact too far, and also looking at that which is too close as if it were too far, and knowing to look with the spirit, that which can't be seen with the eyes. Therefore, Chakugan is not simply seeing, looking at. It is like scrutinizing the opponent. It's like guessing or sensing his own intention, his own convictions. Therefore, in the practice of karate, the Chakugan is essential. For us to practice the Chakugan, we do this drill. We stand in this position, and starting with a punch, we open our hand without looking at the hand or at any other object, looking at infinity, and taking as a reference point our hand, we turn like this until we perform the technique. Now Renato is going to do different drills, putting exercise into practice.
Uno de los principios
The following principle is essential for our school,
nuestra escuela lo toma como
and it is also very important for other martial arts.
es un factor importante para cualquier arte marcial
It is the principle of hara and ki.
del jara y del ki, es
The hara is the body part which is below the navel,
del cuerpo debajo del ombligo
and it is considered to generate the ki,
genera el ki, esa
the energy that karate tries to develop in its techniques.
interior que el karate en sus técnicas trata de desarrollar al máximo. Muchas veces
Many times we speak about taking advantage of the ki,
del ki se habla del aprovechamiento
about how to rotate the hip to take advantage of that ki,
más desarrollo aún a ese ki,
but sometimes it's difficult to teach and show it.
enseñarlo y demostrarlo. Por lo tanto,
I often say,
veces que si estoy
if I'm in a position like this,
en posición,
or any position with any technique,
otra posición con cualquier técnica, si
if I did such a thing,
este tipo estoy
I will be trying to make the force with my shoulders.
los hombros.
That is, with the upper part of my body making a rigid thing.
Por lo tanto,
The idea of ki is starting from a relaxed position,
de hacer
getting the force of the area of the body without using the upper body strength.
prácticamente la zona alta.
Thus, the mastery of hara is essential for the application of all the techniques.
Ahora entonces,
Now Renato will perform some techniques to show all this.
ay, yakuduchi. Ahora entonces vamos a explicar
Now let's explain what is the kote kitai
Kitai.
and the ashi kitai.
El kote kitai son ejercicios
The kote kitai consists in doing drills to strengthen the forearms.
y hay diversos tipos. Vamos a mostrar algunos de ellos
As for the ashi kitai, these are exercises to strengthen the lower limbs.
para fortalecer los miembros inferiores. Entonces,
Now Renato and Maria Inés are going to do some drills to show this.
diferentes a kote kitai y ashi kitai. Bien, segunda forma. Bien, forma shikodachi, sotouke. Kamaete. Bien, forma shikodachi, udouke. Kamaete. Bien, forma shikodachi, gedambre. Kamaete. Bien, ay, bien. Hajime. Bien. Ay, hey. Hey. Hey.
Yakusuku Kumite. It is a set of pre-established forms of combat which serve to mark progress in the mastering of the techniques through their application. The two variants which are performed more frequently are Ippon Kumite, an attack is equivalent to a defense as a response, That way you can get to an explosive attack and an effective defense, minimizing the possibility of injury and maximizing the power of the technique. And Sanbon Kumite, 3 attacks advancing and 3 defenses moving backward, with a single counter. Through this constant practice, you can develop coordination and technical variety.
Ippon kumite, yoi. Ni, san, kamete. Yo, ay no de. Segunda forma, gedambre. Kamaete. Ni, san, ay no de. Kamaete. Yo, ay no de. Tercera forma, gedambre. Kamaete. Ni, san, kamaete. Yo, ay no de. Cuarta forma, gedambre. Kamaete. Maegeri. Ni, san, ay no de. Kamaete. Yo, ay no de. Ay me. Sanbon kumite, yoi. Primera forma, gedambre. Kamaete. Yo, ya. Ay no de. Gedambre. Kamaete. Segunda forma. Yo, ya. Ay no de. Tercera forma, gedambre. Kamaete. Yo, ya. Ay no de. Cuarta forma, gedambre. Kamaete. Yo, ay no de. Ay,
Getting to the explanation of the meaning of a kata, its purposes and feeling will be quite difficult. In general, the idea of someone who has never practiced karate is that it can be a kind of dance or rhythmic gymnastics, or even there are some people who may think it is an activity totally different from the ultimate aim of karate and therefore meaningless. Nothing could be farther from truth. Each kata is a book in itself containing tactics as strategy, combat experiences, and from this constant practice we can also get a powerful spirit.
Bueno, a continuación,
Now we will show the Naianchin Shodan kata.
Naihanchi Shodan.
I want to emphasize that this kata is of fundamental importance in our school.
Fundamentalmente importancia
We must keep in mind that the Naianchi position
a tener en cuenta
gives name to a series of katas:
Naihanchi da nombre a una serie de katas.
Naianchi Shodan, Nidan, Sandan.
Los antiguos maestros
The old masters of Okinawa said that they were concentrated in all the principles of the school,
que aquí están condensados todos los principios fundamentales
and that if anyone was able to master the Naidanchi Shodan kata,
dominaba el katana
he will be ready to perform any other kata.
preparado para hacer cualquier otro kata. Por lo tanto, tenemos que considerar que no se
Therefore, we must consider that it is not a basic kata.
tienen que practicar todos desde un cinturón blanco a un
Then we will start slowly.
Ahora entonces vamos a mostrar cómo se hacen las correcciones,
To show what the possible mistakes are and how they can be corrected.
errores y en qué modo se corrigen. Entonces,
Then Renato will do the Naianchi Shodan kata.
Naihanchi Shodan, Yoi, Eich, Ni, Sa, Shi, Go.
It is always said that everything starts at the base,
Por la base. Por lo tanto, el
so the important thing is the position.
elemento importante es la posición. Por lo tanto,
And an experienced person quickly realizes that the angle of the practitioner is correct or not,
si el ángulo es correcto.
that it is not open or fully closed. His legs have to form a right angle. If I hit his legs and they do not move, the angle is correct. Then I go to the back
Voy a la parte de atrás y veo
and I verify the angle of this part of the leg.
la parte de las piernas.
Once I have checked, I always make him know,
De tal manera que, como decimos siempre,
so that the body has to understand with blows,
ver a través del golpe
not with the reasoning. If you tell the student, turn the knee a bit or put your leg a little behind, the body has trouble responding. However, if I mark it, the body knows what the position is, and if I make him feel it, the memory of the body will be much more evident. Then I go on with the hara. I see if it is not moved, but I always work with both hands. I will never do like this or like this. I will never push him from here forward or from here backward, always compensating the two. Once I realize that the position of the hara is correct, then I go backward. I see if his shoulders are relaxed. If the tension, the position is completely symmetrical. Otherwise, I loosen it and I do it symmetrical. Once the harmony is achieved, then I hit him. It then continues with the technical part. I place his arm over here, like this, and this one a bit higher. After that, we continue the sequence. Let's see one of the most common mistakes he will be placed like this. He will exaggerate. The mistake is this. He makes this movement and puts the hara misplaced. What I do to correct him is not putting this on one side and this at the other. What I do is putting the two sides at once. Once I get the hara being placed, I make him turn so that the body is at the correct angle. Once I make sure that his body is properly placed and is in position to move downward, as indicated by the principles of Kion, the train is going down, either in relax or under pressure. In that moment, I place his body in the right way again. Now we continue the sequence. We continue to see all the mistakes which are often made when performing each technique. A common mistake is opening the elbows. Then we make him feel that elbows should not be placed like this, neither this. So what I do is closing his elbows like this, always with both hands and simultaneously. Let's suppose I always check that he is well placed, the base, the hara, and also the shoulders, so that they always tend to go down. Once I have checked how they are placed and their technical performance, we move on to the following sequence. There is nothing to say here. It's a very simple movement. I hardly change the position, so we continue. This is a side fist, kahitsuki. A basic mistake is performing it to outside. Another mistake is performing it to inside. If he makes it to outside, and this area remains unprotected, what I do is drawing the limit here, and I correct his hit here all at once. If he does it like this, on the inside, I mark the limit here, and I correct his blow from this side. And I do it simultaneously, as if I were saying to the forearm, this is your position. Once the technique has been done properly, we continue with the kata. Here I put resistance. If he had, for example, the hara misplaced, we have no stability against his resistance, because the strength of the hara is not helping him. If he closes this area, his arm resists perfectly well, even if I push with my hands. As soon as his hara is misplaced, it can be verified in the practice. Its stability and strength decrease a lot. It is therefore essential to work always with the lower area. We continue the kata. One of the normal mistakes here is opening or closing the arms too much. The opening always has to respond to the basic principles of Kion, so the elbows must be close to the body. If he makes this mistake and he has the arms open, I close them. If he does the opposite, I open them. I put his arms in the right position, considering if they are more open or closer. Once I have verified that his arms and body are properly placed, I continue the kata. Here there is nothing to say. We must just make him feel that the circular movement must be performed in urak. We continue with the kata. Here he has done the yoko udeuke. which is a variant of the Sotouke, which is a basic form of defense outward. Therefore, the position has to be like that of Sotouke. We will make a basic mistake when performing this movement. He has now raised his elbow when moving it to one side, but I'm going to move his hand and he will not put resistance, and I will turn his arm up to here. Then his elbow is pointing out. In the Sotouke, the elbow must be in line with the shoulder. Therefore, the ideal position is this. Not this, or this. If he made this mistake, I will put my hand here, and my other hand on the elbow. This way I will correct it so that it is in line. Obviously, if his arm was like this, I will put my hands this way. I put my hands depending on the position of his arm. We continue the kata. This hand must be placed as in the Shutouke. Therefore, it cannot be outside or inside. On the Shuto base, I close this, and I close this. We continue the kata. When making these turns, two mistakes are often made. The first one, repeat this please, Renato, is separating the forearms during the turn. Then it is easy to turn. The other mistake is a consequence of this. It means that the difficulty is making the turn and keeping the chakugan, the look, without moving the forearm. If he made this mistake, I will correct it like this. So this mistake generates another possible mistake, which is raising the shoulder. That is forcing the position. Now more than ever, we must keep the shoulder low. Then I move it down, so the body knows it is the right position. We continue. We repeat. We'll see now the possible mistake in this movement. If we did it exaggerated, it will be this, having the hara misplaced. This affects the whole body. That is why I put the hara in its place. I am not interested in this. I obviously straighten his stance. What interests me is the hara. I turn him. I check if both shoulders are in harmony. And if I see there is more tension in one part than in the other, I make his body know with a blow. In this position, as we said at the beginning, the mistake is only this. Sometimes there is little rotation of the hip. We realize that thanks to the chakugan, and we correct it, not only I put it down, but I orientate it. And when everything is in place, we continue and we finish the first part with the double punch Muro Tesuki. And now he will do the second knowing that I'm next to him, ready to correct him. He will do it with that mentality. Now let's do a practice which is called kakiai. It is a work with a partner, where the most important thing is the harmony between them.
donde fundamentalmente
But if one of them makes a mistake,
armonía entre ellos, es decir,
he will cause the mistake in the other.
va a ser equiparar al otro.
In these cases, there is always one who commands the movement
Y otro,
and another one who must follow that movement.
después de
After that first part, where there is a harmony between the two practitioners,
armonía entre
different variants are performed,
se hacen distintas variantes.
even variants of the attacks.
Entonces, para
To better show this,
la práctica
we'll do a kakiai practice with Renato.
de caquear.
The Okinawan stick, also called Rokusan Kubo, is undoubtedly one of the most popular weapons of Kobudo and also one of the weapons with a most versatile application.
Hey. Okay. Hey. Bono Fukyugata. Yoi. Iro. 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 Hey. Hey. Iro. 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 Hey. Okay.